is Fujifilm's brand new X-S20. I've been using this camera for the past 4 weeks now, and I've been blessed enough to have Fujifilm send me this camera early out to test it. First things first, I want to say that this is not a sponsored video. Fujifilm have no say on anything I'm going to say in this video. They have no idea I'm even making this video, and all thoughts and opinions are my own. I also want to say that this is a pre-production sample, and all the software on it is also pre-production, so bugs are common. I don't want to deep dive too much into specs about this camera, but what I will do is I will talk about what I like and what I don't like about this camera. I've used this camera for street photography and for cityscape photography, and I've been going around all over Toronto taking photos with this camera. So far I've taken over 2,000 photos, I believe, and I've been using it for the past 4 weeks. As I said, I've taken it out in snowstorms and rainstorms and in all different weather conditions. And one thing that I definitely want to talk about is, who is this camera for? Who is this made for? I want to start this video off by talking about what I do like about this camera. And there's a lot to like about this camera. First off, it uses the same sensor as the Fujifilm X-T4. And you know this means that your photos are gonna look amazing. You're gonna get high quality images and high resolution images that you can use for professional work. Another thing that I really love about this camera is the new processor that it uses. It's using the same processor as the new Fujifilm X-H2S. And you know this means it's gonna be a beast when it comes to autofocus and video. Next thing that I wanna talk about is that it has 4 custom dial settings up top. So unlike the Fujifilm X-H2S, which I think has around 7, this has only 4, but it's still a lot to customize. You can set each one to your preferred settings, and then just with one flick, you have all your settings ready to be used. Now, I did mention that it does have the same processor as the Fujifilm X-H2S, and you know this means that its autofocus capabilities are on par with the X-H2S. Not to mention the new autofocus subject detection modes, which have train, animal, plane, and many more you can think of. This small beast of a camera can also shoot up to 30 frames per second in continuous high burst, which pretty much guarantees that you won't miss any shot. Another thing that I really love about this camera is that it can shoot up to 6.2K in 422 10-bit. This small camera can shoot in 6.2K. Speaking of size, this is a tiny camera. This camera can actually fit in your pocket without a lens, obviously. But it's such a small camera, it's a very light camera, you can take it around anywhere, and it's very portable. You can also just chuck it in your bag and it's not gonna add too much weight. Now, 2 major improvements on the Fujifilm X-S10 are 2 things that I'm pretty sure everyone complained about. One was the battery type and the battery life. And thankfully, Fujifilm listened, and now they have the new batteries, the same ones that are used in the Fujifilm X-H2S and the same ones that are used in the Fujifilm X-T4. And to be honest, I never once had to change my batteries. I always went out with 1 full battery and I couldn't even drain it all the way to the end. Another thing that Fujifilm fixed with the X-S20 are the ergonomics of the camera itself. Pretty much everyone who used the X-S10 was complaining that the camera is uncomfortable to hold and it doesn't have a wide grip. I'm a person with very big hands pretty much, and I never once dropped this camera. I always felt comfortable holding this camera, and I've used every single lens you can think of on this camera. Now, one of the custom features that they added on this camera and on the dials up top is a dedicated vlog mode. Okay, hey guys, quick update, Future Taha here. Gotta do some quick updates. And I gotta talk more about the vlog modes. So on the X-S20, you have a dedicated vlog dial up top, which you can flick to and directly change into vlog mode. So what can you do in vlog mode? Basically, first you have manual control over all your video settings. And when you switch to that vlog mode, there's an icon or a touch icon that appears on the screen, and it brings up a whole set of new features. And these features are definitely features that all content creators or vloggers will love. It offers product priority mode, and that is something new. So obviously, if you're a tech reviewer or if you're reviewing any sort of product in front of your camera, this ensures that the focus stays on the product itself and it doesn't lose focus. It also offers background defocus, and basically it sets your lens's aperture to the lowest possible or to the widest possible so that you can have a more blurred out background. There's also now a video self-timer. So the same way in photography, when you have a photo self-timer, you also now have a video self-timer. So you can now start recording. And with the new vlog mode, it also gives you access to quickly turn on IBIS or high-speed recording. And that way you have access to all the video settings that are important to you with just a single touch. Obviously, one of the major benefits of Fujifilm and using Fujifilm cameras are the film recipes, and all your favorite film recipes are right here. And finally, the last thing that I want to talk about that I really like is the flip screen. I know not everyone likes the flip screen. Most people like the tilt screen. Personally, I'm a big fan of the flip screen. Just means I can get lower to the ground and I can shoot vertically without having any problems. Now, jumping into the things that I do not like about the Fujifilm X-S20. One thing that was a big detriment to me when I was using this camera is that it only has one SD card slot. And having one SD card slot may not sound like a major problem, but after using the Fujifilm X-T4 and the Fujifilm X-H2S, which both have 2 SD card slots, having one SD card slot kind of feels underwhelming. And a little story, I went out to shoot one time when it was snowing, trying to get some photos in the snow, and it turns out that I forgot my SD card back home. But I'm so used to having 2 SD card slots that I usually don't have a problem going out with only one. And because I'm so used to having 2 SD card slots and I went out with no SD cards, well, I basically had to walk back home. Another issue that I have is the presence of this joystick on the back that you use to change your focus and to navigate around the camera. I don't have an issue with that, but after using the X-H2S for a while and having the extra menu button with the 4 navigation arrows, the up, down, left, and right, which can also be customized, it feels like I'm lacking more customization. And customization for me is important because it's the way I configure my camera the way I want, and it helps me get the photos super quick. Another issue that I had was when it was raining outside and I was using my gloves, it was very cold. Because I think of the rain, this dial here, the top right dial, the rotating dial, which I was using to pretty much change my f-stop, kind of became hard to rotate. I don't know if that's an issue because of the weather, if it was the cold, if it was the rain, or if it was my gloves, but it was getting stuck a bit and I had to, you know, pretty much push harder on the dial to change my f-stop. I'm not sure if this is a weather issue or because it's a pre-production, or if the dial is just because it's a new camera, then the dial's kind of, you know, still sturdy a bit. Now, the new ergonomics are absolutely amazing. 9 out of 10, 9.5 out of 10. There's one 0.5 deduction point, and that is because when I was using my 56mm lens, which is kind of a fat lens, my finger kind of got stuck in between the lens and the grip, and it wasn't really fun, but you know, just something that happened. Thought I'd mention it. And finally, even though this camera uses the same processor as the X-H2S and it can shoot in 6.2K, this camera does not have a ProRes codec or any ProRes codec, which is fine. It's not a big deal. It's not a big issue unless you're shooting films and movies. But you know, I thought it was probably worth mentioning. All right, future Taha again. So I wanted to dive deeper into who this camera is for, because this camera packs a huge punch. It has a lot of features when it comes to both photo and video. So who is it for? The X-S20 is the ultimate camera for content creators, videographers, and photographers. It offers cinema quality video with high level features, and it also offers professional level photography with professional quality features and functions. This is definitely a camera that you should get if you're a streamer. If you do streaming on Twitch or YouTube Live or Kick or any of the big streaming websites, the X-S20 can help you stream up to 4K 60 super easily with a very minimal setup. All right, I'll throw it back to current Taha. This camera is so light, it's so small that you can put it in your bag and you can travel with it anywhere. And basically it makes for an excellent travel camera. It's as capable as the Fujifilm X-T4, which is still a high-end camera today, and it's even better because it has the new processor of the X-H2S, which means your autofocus is going to be on point. Now the final question is, can this be used for high-end work? Can it be used for product photography? Can it be used for client work? I absolutely think it can. And this camera is very powerful for its size. It may look like a small, tiny camera, but this thing packs a huge punch. Now, by the time I'm making this video, I have no idea how much this camera is gonna cost. But knowing that the XS10 was released at the price of $1,000, then I'm gonna guess that it's gonna be released at around the same price. So for its weight, size, portability, video capabilities, and photo capabilities, is this camera worth buying? I believe so, 100%. This camera is a great bang for your buck. It's something you can keep with you all the time. It would be an amazing B camera if you have a better A camera. And if you're just starting to get into YouTube, short form video, or an intermediate in photography, then this is a great stepping camera for you. And it's definitely a great buy. The positives here definitely outweigh the negatives. Yeah, and that's pretty much it. I wanna thank Fujifilm for giving me the opportunity to use this camera for 4 weeks. And I'm very humbled and grateful that they decided to choose me in Toronto to use this camera and to have my photos on their website and to make a short film about me, which I will link down in the description when that comes out. I just want to say thank you to everyone who subscribed, who watches my videos, who likes, comments. You guys are amazing, and if it wasn't for you guys, then I wouldn't be where I am today. So thank you guys for watching this video. I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace out.